Hi, I'm Laura, welcome to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you how I've organised the whole of my kitchen. So I got the kitchen finished off about 9-10 months ago, and I never really got around to sorting out the inside of the cupboards and putting in an organisation process that I could keep on top of. So as time's gone by, things have got a little bit messy, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to get everything decluttered, organised and looking the best that it could without really spending a lot of money. So I have bought some things for the organisation, but I've not spent a lot. I would say that this is a budget organisation video. I've done the whole of the kitchen. I will add in some timestamps in the description box below. If there's a certain section that you want to skip to, it will just make it easier for you to do that. If not, just watch the whole video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. So here are some of the items that I've picked up to help me with the organisation. Lots of storage jars, baskets, little boxes to put things in. And I also picked up a Dymo embossing label maker just so that I can label everything so I can see exactly where everything is. So I started out by organising the food cupboard. So as you can see, I have let this get really messy. So I just started off by pulling everything out just so that I could see exactly what was in there and gave everything a clean. Once everything was out of the cupboard, I then organised it into categories. So I put all the pastas together, the baking goods, the condiments, the packets, just so then I could see exactly what I needed to work with and how to organise it best. So using these baskets that I got from B&M, they were four for £3. Decided to use one of them just to organise all of the packets. I thought this would be really good just to be able to pull it out of the cupboard every time that I knew that I needed to find something that was in there, rather than sort of like scraping through it all and making a mess. And then I made a basket each for mine and Alicia's treats. Usually we have a shelf that's literally just stuffed with sweets, biscuits and things like that. It's quite hard to see what's in there. So now we've got a basket each with our treats so we can see exactly what we've got and none of our items get mixed up, so we know exactly whose is whose. And then I use the final basket just to add in our breakfast bits, so breakfast bars and things like that. So then I moved on to sorting out all of the spices and all the little bits that were in the cupboard. I find that all of these jars take up so much space, and I had quite a few different packs of salt and things like that because you end up buying things forgetting that you already had them. I used this old coffee jar just to fill in with stock cubes and then put a label on it. It was just great just to be able to see how many I've got left rather than a box which could either be full or have none in it at all, so I really like that. And then I already had lots of spice jars, and some of these I haven't used for quite a while, so I cleaned all of them out, got rid of anything that I wasn't going to be using or that had gone off, and then just refilled them basically, and then relabeled them too with the label maker. So all of these spice jars are going to be going in the spice rack that I put on the front of my boiler cover. So if you want to see how I made that, I'll pop a link in the description below and also up here on the screen. It just keeps everything really organised, but as you can see, these look so much better than they did, and I absolutely love this label maker. I then moved on to filling up all of my jars, so I've put pretty much everything in these jars, all of my pastas, cereals, rices, flour, icing sugar, caster sugar, pretty much everything that was in the cupboard that was in a packet is now in a jar. And I really like this because just at a glance I can see through exactly what's in there, and I shouldn't be overstocking up on anything at all. So I've got the food cupboard finished off, everything looks amazing in there now. I've actually got so much more space, and I love how these baskets just fit perfectly on each of the shelves. I've got a shelf dedicated just to my baking materials, another one with a few snacks in, so nuts and things like that. And I've just tried to keep it looking as tidy as possible. Hopefully it will stay like this. And then I've also used one of the clay boxes just to add in a few extra bits of my baking things so that it can be hidden at the back. Then this small cupboard I've used for extra drink items, so there's some spare bottles of milk, some teas, chocolate milk and a jar filled with cereal, and the bottom shelf neatly stacked with some crisps. So next up was the cupboard where I keep all of my cookware. So I've got pans in here, my plates, everything really just made an absolute mess. So these tapas dishes I actually had in a box, so decided to use another one of these plastic storage boxes to store those in. They fit perfectly and it meant that I could also stack some other things on top. And then I also had lots of oven dishes in there that don't really get used that often. So I decided to use this grey box to pop those in, and then there's a few other bits as well that don't get used too much. Thought it'd just be really easy to pull this out when I needed to get something out of there, and it would keep the cupboard looking a lot more tidy. So as I said, just being able to pull it out to grab out things that I needed is absolutely perfect. And then I thought with it being flat on top as well, I could just add the baking trays and the chopping boards on top just to keep it neat and tidy. So I've got everything else stacked away in the cupboard, and then I decided to actually use the label maker to label each shelf, because it's actually Alicia's job to empty the dishwasher and she just dumps things right back in this cupboard. So I thought if I label each section, she now has no excuse of not knowing where things need to go. So I'm really happy with how this looks now, super tidy and everything is accessible. So next onto the cupboards that have got the glasses and the cups in. I do have quite a lot of glassware, a lot of it doesn't get used too often, but I do like this cupboard to be as tidy as possible. I worked in a pub years ago, and having glasses stacked really neatly I just find so aesthetically pleasing, but as you can see, just things are kind of dumped in here at the moment without any order. So I thought whilst I was doing this, I may as well clear the cupboard out, run everything through the dishwasher so that it was nice and clean before I put everything back in. So everything's been stacked neatly, looks so much better in here now. So one cupboard opens out where you can see everything, so I've put those glasses, the ones that we use the most, and then things that we don't use as much, on the top shelf and in the back corners. And again with the mugs, just stacked everything neatly and put things that are used the most down at the bottom, and then just added our travel mugs onto the top shelf, which don't get used as much. So next up is the cupboard with all of the kitchen gadgets. This is a mess and I always end up knocking things over when I'm pulling it out. So I added one of the Beckram IKEA spice racks so that I could organise all of the attachments for the blender, and just stacked everything up in there really neatly, so it's much easier to get to everything now. I've had this IKEA Gruntle shelving for a good few years now, and it's one of my favourite places to display things. So I've got some attachments to add on some wine glasses, and this little shelf where I keep my salt, pepper and things like that. So it's actually one of my favourite decorative spaces in the kitchen, and I've got all of my pastas and rices displayed on top. I just think it's a really nice decorative touch and a really good storage solution as well. Above the fridge I've got another IKEA shelf where I've got some of these white storage boxes. So these have got really messy and I just wanted to sort them out. So I've got a box for electrical things, so plugs, cables, things like that. Batteries were in there, which I've put in a separate box. I've got a box full of gift bags and birthday cards, and then other sort of like party bits as well. So that's all displayed above the fridge, and I can just use my step stool to get up there and access the boxes. So under the sink was an absolute disgrace. There was so much stuff dumped under there. So just to add a little bit of organisation, I decided to add in these hooks onto the door so that I could hang up a few things on there, like the dustpan and brush that always gets hidden away, duster, scrubbing brush and my squeegee. So I just did a really light pilot haul before putting these hooks in because I was struggling to get them in the door. But that's a really good place just to hang these bits up now so that they're out of the way. There wasn't a shelf in here, so I actually had a really small IKEA wax shelf hanging around, so I decided to put that up so that I could store my kitchen caddy. And then in a basket I just organised all of my cleaning equipment, got rid of quite a few bits in there that weren't really needed, got everything tidied up, and in the caddy put things in that I use on a day-to-day basis, walking around the house, the floor cleaner and things like that. So once all of that was put away, put back under the sink, everything is now super organised and I can see exactly where everything is. So I've got quite a few other random cupboards. So this one I'm using to store some candles, vases and my sewing box, as well as some box files and a few bits of stationery. The laptop slides in there along with the charger. It's really organised now. It's quite easy to still get to everything. It is one of the smaller cupboards and I'm surprised how much I've actually been able to fit in. I've just used a cookie jar to store in my tea lights. This is an old perfume box which has got my sewing things in, and as I said, all of my box files with everything labelled so that I can get to all of my stationery and files. And then this cupboard is where I keep the cat food, and I've got a stash of booze, and I've put a hook on the inside of the door just to hang up the oven glove as it's right next to the oven. It's super easy to get to, keeps it out of the way and it's easily accessible. This one's got a few random bits in. The top shelf is used for my plastic tub storage. The middle shelf is my medicine and first aid kit. And I came up with a really handy trick. I always get these tubs mixed up, so I've actually numbered each of the tubs and the corresponding lids so that I'm not messing around trying to find a lid that fits the tub. And then I've also organised all of my tools, so I use some more of these clear boxes from Home Bargains. These are tools that I use quite regularly, so my screwdrivers, anything to put things up, and then a bigger box which has got some drill bits in, screws, and these are all stored in the corner cupboard, which is a little bit harder to get to, and I've got a box in there for our recycling. I only actually have one drawer that's built into the kitchen, so I use this for the cutlery. So I've just got a cutlery tray in there, and I use this for other bits that I need to be easily accessible, such as tin openers, scissors, measuring spoons, things like that don't look as good on display. I've got a utensil holder next to the cooker for everything that I use regularly, and this magnetic knife rack for all of my knives, and this rail to display all of my silver serving spoons. So I absolutely love this sideboard. I think it's beautiful and it's also great for storage. I've got extra drawers in there so I keep my tea towels and cloths in, so I tidied these up. And then I've got a top drawer which I put a divider in. I usually just dump random bits in here, but I gave that a bit of a tidy up. The second drawer down is where I keep all of the cloths. So as you just saw, I rolled all of those up neatly. I don't know how long it'll stay like this, but hopefully for a while. And then the bottom drawer, I've got some of my best cutlery, which stays in boxes, so that's special occasion cutlery. A jar with some sealing clips, sellotape and the cat brush. And then one of the sides is used for the cookbooks. I've got a box in here with some files and a few other storage boxes with the batteries and some shoe polish. And then the other side is used for some DVDs that Alicia won't let me get rid of, and some of her family board games. Underneath I've got these old wine boxes. These were full of rubbish, so I've cleared that out and taken some things into the shed, but they're good for just throwing in some shoes or some other random bits that you want hidden away just to keep things looking tidy. Under the stairs was a little bit of a dumping ground, but I've just given this a bit of a tidy up. I've added some hooks onto the slant of the roof under there just so that I can hold the maiden in, and then I tied it at the bottom with an old shoelace just to keep it all in place. This has been an absolute lifesaver because that maiden drove me mad. Every time I grabbed something out it would fall over and it took up so much room. I also added some hooks up here just so that I can hang up the mop and the sweeping brush, and then I also put up a hook on the other side just to hang up this tabletop ironing board. So everything's a lot easier to access in here now. I've popped all of my weights at the back behind the washing basket. I don't plan on getting those out at the moment, but when I do, I should be able to get to them quite easily. So yeah, I've just got a few more bits under here. I could do a little bit more under here, but I think just for putting up a few hooks, it's made the space a lot more usable. Everything's accessible, and there's also some hooks on the back for us to hang up our coats. So that's the kitchen organisation all done and dusted. I hope you got some good ideas and some motivation to do some of your own organising at home. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. I will hopefully see you again soon.